It is the Riot Podcast. Good Tuesday, August 2nd to ya. We came out guns blazing today.
We were firing on all cylinders. Monday, yesterday, we were pretty tired.
Uh-huh.
I was real tired yesterday.
I don't know if you
Today,
could tell.
I feel better.
Yeah, we hit it hard today.
I went to bed a lot earlier last night, though. I hit the bed at like 9:45, probably.
Oh, that's good for you.
I was real early. Usually 10:30 is like when I need to be asleep by for me to be able to be productive in the morning. I laid down at 9:45. I probably fell asleep right around 10.
Nice.
10:05.
Well, it really came through today.
So I got like 7 hours of sleep, probably. Close to that, maybe.
You stepped up your game. You should do that every night.
I'm not
You
going
should
to
try going to bed even earlier.
Maybe you should stay a little earlier.
I probably should.
What time did you go to bed?
I did not fall asleep until 11.
11?
Yeah.
That's
and it
like
was
the
not
danger
a good night of
zone.
sleep for me.
Once 11 hits, it's like maybe I'll be productive. It just like I don't know what's going to happen the next morning.
Well, I feel that I can, unless I get less than that, I feel that I can usually make it through the show. It's just after the show when I really struggle.
That's how I am too. I'll make it through the show and I'll be okay. But then once the show ends, it's like maybe I need to take a nap.
Right.
Maybe I need a nap at work. Is that the worst thing in the world?
Either I take a nap and maybe get some good work done after the nap, or I don't take a nap and I waste everyone's time.
So if you were in charge of RadioU, would you be okay with naps?
Yeah, what would you choose?
I would say if you need to take like no longer, you don't need not longer than a 30-minute nap.
That's more than enough.
But if you come in, like let's say you're real tired and I'm obviously whatever, you didn't get to bed on time, that's fine. You're an adult. You didn't make it to bed on time, that happens.
Yeah.
If you need like a 30-minute nap and then after that, no more naps, but you're going to be productive, then you should take the 30-minute nap.
Well worth it.
I think it makes sense.
Paid 30-minute nap.
Yeah, a paid 30-minute nap, and then when that ends, then you can just hit the ground running and be way more productive than you pretending to work all day and trying to stay awake.
We get so much done.
I think that should be normalized in work culture.
Absolutely.
A 30-minute nap is fine. Now,
We'd all benefit from
if I was the boss, because even the boss everywhere, sometimes there's a day you need a nap.
Yeah.
And you can't even take a nap because if you aren't okay with other people taking naps, then you can't be like, I'm going to take a nap.
What if you got caught napping?
See, it doesn't make sense why this should be okay, I think. I think maybe instead of like, obviously we have like vacation days, and then we also have like your sick days. I think there should be like a little, like you can have like 7 naps in a year or something.
Like a nap hour.
Yeah, a nap, like a half an hour.
Earn nap hours.
That would make sense because then, like, let's say I got like 7 of them a year. Maybe there's 7 days throughout the year that I may need a nap. I would want to use one.
What if you could roll over your naps?
Ooh.
From year to year. And so one year you take like no naps, and then the next year you're taking a nap every day.
Every day you get like a 30-minute, and it can't be longer than 30 minutes. You can't stack them up to where like, okay, I just took a 3-hour nap at work. Like, that would make sense. But if you get 7 separate 30-minute naps throughout the year, think about how productive you'd be.
Yeah.
I'd be nervous to take them, though. It's kind of like vacation days. Like, you only take them when you go on vacation.
All of a sudden, Thanksgiving would roll around. You'd be napping so much.
Oh, yeah. Like, sick days. Like, you don't take a sick day in, like, January.
Yeah.
You got to save that up to the end of the year. You might be more sick. You might need it.
Well, that's...
Same thing with nap days.
It's fine, too, because after Thanksgiving, I don't get any work done anyways.
Yeah, exactly. It's Christmas time.
I'm here, but I don't do anything.
Once, like, after Thanksgiving, like, RadioU's, like, empty. There's some people here some days. People are on vacation. They're taking time off for Christmas. There's days where it's just me here. Like last Christmas, I had like no vacation days because I just started.
You used them all up?
I was like the only one here for like the whole month of December. I felt like you were gone. Nikki was just gone. She was not. She was not present at all. Yeah, right now, she's been gone for like a week.
But she's not. At that time, she wasn't the only one. This time, it's just her.
This time it's just her.
Speaking of Nikki, she'll be back on Monday. Do we even need to mention, you want to run through what's in the podcast?
We'll do one. We talked about Canadian candy taste tester. Hudson and I went over some of our favorite candies, what we think are some of the top ones. We disagreed heavily.
Oh, yeah.
Our taste in candy are exactly opposites.
Yeah.
And we had some people text in. Some people agreed with Hudson. A lot of people agreed with me.
I think I saw a lot of vehement agreement on my side.
You think so?
Yeah, and which is surprising because some of my candies that I chose are a bit more bespoke. You'd have to
maybe
be more
run us by what bespoke means for the crowd,
like upscale.
Okay, yeah. Warheads are pretty. The finer things.
Yes.
Warheads are one of those upper echelon candies.
Not just everybody has tasted Zots, though, Isaiah.
Oh,
so
yeah,
you got to be a world traveler You have to be a citizen of the world to be able to
get your hands on those. Geez, I mean, my budget, I don't think I could afford them.
Probably not.
With the Zots, those finer, like yet again, the
You'll
warheads.
work your way up one day.
Nerds, another big. That's a big one as well. Yeah, and then you definitely were more sour. I was definitely a lot more sweet, a little more savory,
which fits our personalities.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm the sweet one.
And I'm sour.
You're sour.
I'll admit it. Well,
but yeah, that's what we talked about today. A bunch of other stuff too. But that was the main one.
That's the show. Enjoy it.
All right, we'll see you guys.
It's the Riot.
It's the worst of the Riot on Radio U.
Now, you can learn how to do pretty much anything on YouTube.
Yes.
I well know. I've performed several DIY surgeries, you could say, on different appliances around my home. But what I've never tried to do is perform a DIY surgery on myself.
I would hope not. I feel like that'd be a pretty bad idea.
Unless you count...
I don't count it. Whatever you're about to say, I don't count it.
You don't want to even hear about it.
I don't count it. I don't know what it's going to be.
But we do have one man in Brazil who tried to do just that. And it sounds like he may not be alone necessarily. There are videos on YouTube that teach you how to perform your own rhinoplasty. You know what that is?
I'm not sure what that is.
A rhinoplasty is a nose job.
See, why even make the video? Like, why are these people trying to encourage people to do that themselves?
For the views, of course.
Yeah, for views, that makes
clicks,
sense.
The likes.
So he felt like he could do it?
He thought after watching a DIY YouTube video on a self nose job, he thought he was equipped with the tools and the expertise he needed to dive right in there all on his own, straight from home. Now, here's the problem. Apparently either the video wasn't clear or maybe this guy was not paying enough attention because he did not use gloves. He did not sterilize effectively. So it sounds like the problem wasn't, the actual nose job. It sounds like maybe it was a successful operation at first.
Just not hygienic or what?
Just not hygienic, exactly right, because he eventually found himself on July 21st at the Campo Limpo Emergency Care Unit due to severe infections.
Yeah. You got to sterilize. That's like the first step in being a doctor. If you're going to be a DIY doctor, you got to take that stuff seriously.
You put those gloves on, you get washed up, you scrub in, scrub out.
Sounds like he did it, though. Pretty impressive.
Yeah.
I feel like that the hardest part about that would be to fight through the pain. Like, obviously, it's going to be painful. And you're, like, trying to perform this on yourself while also in massive amounts of pain that I only could imagine. But at the same time, he was able to get it done, just didn't really do it all that clean.
Yeah, so I was thinking, he must have just mangled things up. And we don't know. I mean, once you get an infection, that can really affect things. So maybe it didn't turn out all sunshine and roses even after the infection was dealt with. But he definitely wound up in the hospital, which is exactly what he was trying to avoid in the first place by doing it himself. So it didn't turn out exactly the way he planned. Now, it seems like he obviously, it would be difficult to die from botching your own nose job. So I think he's okay.
He's all good. But at the end of the day, coming into this story, I was going to totally rip this guy for trying to be smarter than he is. But it sounds like he's about as smart as he had to be able to do this outside of the cleaning part. I'm impressed he was able to actually do the whole nose job. I mean, he's just a guy who's trying to save a couple bucks. I understand. Yeah, I mean, going to the hospital and getting a nose job done is probably pretty expensive. I haven't looked into it myself, but I'm sure a DIY version is way less expensive.
It's gotta save you a lot of money, doesn't it?
Oh, probably 10x if you went to the hospital. Probably way more than that, honestly.
It's nearly free to do it on yourself, I would think. You're just costing yourself some time and
you got to rearrange a little bit.
A few medical supplies, and you are good to go. Not that we advocate for this. For multiple reasons. One, it is dangerous still.
Yeah.
And so you do need some training and expertise. But two, I just think out of all the things that you need to fix about yourself, the nose is low on the list.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. A lot of times you hear females who get nose jobs, not as much for guys, but then to do it yourself, that's even extra. That's even more. I feel like a guy who's willing to do his own nose job wouldn't care that much about how his nose looks. If you're willing to get that down and dirty,
it's it's a high risk, high low reward situation.
It is.
Like, how many people are going to be like, oh, your nose looks so great.
It looks incredible.
Where'd you get it done?
This is Radio U's Worst of the Riot.
Give me a break. Give me a break. Break me off a piece of that fancy feast.
I've heard of that.
Yeah?
What is
You've
that?
heard
What's
that
that
song?
from? Is that a commercial?
It is the commercial.
What is that from?
It's typically
Fancy
a commercial.
Feast?
Uh-huh.
Is that like a brand of food?
It's a cat food.
Oh, cat food.
Yeah,
That's what it is.
How does Fancy Feast sound to you?
It sounds trash if it's cat food. That sounds gross.
What if it's made for humans?
Cat food made for humans?
Uh-huh.
That still doesn't really do much for me. Cat food's gross.
Don't turn up your nose just yet, because Purina's Fancy Feast, typically known as a cat food, they are launching a pop-up restaurant in New York City where they are designing a few entrees and even a dessert inspired by their cat food line, but it's meant for humans.
See, that sounds gross to me. I don't like that at all. I don't like it.
Cats don't eat all that different from you and I.
Have you seen cat food?
It doesn't.
What it looks like?
Well, keep in mind, you eat with your eyes.
You do.
Cats don't.
Yeah,
Cats,
and I guess so.
They eat when they're hungry.
Yeah, but I don't want to eat what they eat, though.
But it's the same food you and I eat. It's just presented a little differently.
So is it going to be presented?
Maybe flavored a little more blandly, perhaps.
Is it going to be presented like if the cat was eating like chicken and brown rice or whatever it is? Like, is the food like going to also be the mashed up like poop looking stuff?
You know what? I cannot confirm or deny how it will be served to you, what it will look like. It may be coming in a can, put there by a man, maybe not. Let me give you the details. Purina, for Fancy Feast, is launching a pop-up restaurant in New York City. This is going to be later this month for 16 lucky people. The restaurant will only be open for 2 days. You have to reserve your spot on August 4th, 2 days from now. And they will be serving up a few dishes that are inspired by their Fancy Feast medley line of food. So you'll get salmon con pomodorini, which is salmon with cherry tomatoes, of course. If you are Italian or know Italian food, you would know that. Also, Brisalo di manzo, which is beef short ribs in red wine. Doesn't that sound quite nice?
It actually does sound kind of good.
Doesn't it? And you can finish it all off with a lemon panna cotta for dessert. How's that sound?
I'm not sure what that is, but it sounds good.
I think it's lemon cake.
Lemon cake? I can get behind lemon cake.
Lemon bread. What does panna cotta mean?
Panna cotta.
Let's look that up real quick.
But either way, it sounds like these are not going to be made like cat food. It sounds like it's going to be actual like dishes, which makes it very different than if they were presenting me with cat food in front of me.
Well, it's going to show you. What it's going to show you is that the cat food that you could feed your cat, at least if you bought Fancy Feast, isn't all that far off from a fine night out at a upscale New York City Italian restaurant.
I guess that is what they're pushing, isn't it?
That's right.
Is that the food that you're feeding your cat is just as good for you?
They don't call it Fancy Feast for nothing.
How fancy can cat food be?
It sounds pretty fancy.
I mean, this sounds fancy when it's presented in like normal human food. But either way, if you're giving me the cat food look, that can't be fancy. I don't care what the flavor is.
Listen to this.
It's coming in a tin.
The chefs will provide guests with an inside look at the detail and expertise that goes into crafting each Fancy Feast recipe through a variety of delectable dishes and culinary exercises. You see?
Yeah, but that's not how you actually make it, though. Like, Fancy Feast is that like they have a chef that's like cooking up the little like poopy stuff that they're giving these cats, but
they have to test it and design it for cats before they manufacture it in a factory.
It's definitely going down a conveyor belt where they're just like putting the slop in the little tin, and it's just the same guy that's just pulling the lever over and over again, and these guys are gonna cook it up as if it's like this fancy thing.
Where do you think your Burger King burgers come from?
Hey, you know what? I will not dismay that it may be the same thing. But it feels a little bit different.
It's just presented differently.
It is presented differently. The presentation's important. Fancy Feast changes the presentation. This is going to be
presented to you nicely.
I'm sure this will, and I'll get behind that. But the cat food, not for me.
It's the same thing. They've put a lot of effort into those cat foods. So if you had a cat, you could feel totally comfortable feeding them fancy feasts. That's what they're trying to prove.
Find more Riot content online. Riot.radiou.com.
Now, in the meantime, let's talk about golf. And I know what you're thinking. Golf, I'm going to leave. But wait, stop. Because this is interesting, even if you don't like golf whatsoever. I'm sure you've heard of the name Tiger Woods, perhaps the greatest golfer ever to play.
Vaguely familiar.
He was recently offered a lot of money to do something that a few other golfers have done, but many have not. And that is join the Live Golf Tour. The Live Golf Tour is controversial. It's headed up by Greg the Shark Norman, former PGA golfer. But he has joined forces, some would say, with some shady characters, some Saudi Arabian oil tycoons and things of that nature, people of that nature who have some questionable ethics, to say the least. But they also have a lot of money to offer, and they really want their Live Golf Tour to survive, to branch out and become a huge thing. So they're trying to poach off some of the biggest golfers in the world, and who bigger than Tiger Woods? So how much would you say it would take to buy Tiger Woods to get him to join the Live Golf Tour, to leave the PGA?
I don't know if there is a number, apparently.
So far, we haven't found it. But Greg the Shark Norman says that Live Golf has offered Tiger Woods upwards of $700 million to join the Live Golf Tour, close to $800 million, and so far he's always turned them down.
That's so much money.
Isn't that crazy?
That's an unreal, and Tiger Woods isn't even good anymore. Not that he isn't good. I won't say that, but he's not.
Better than you.
He's better than I am.
As far as we know, we haven't put you head to head to see.
But he's not killing it on the tour. He's not even usually. He's not even usually making it for
He's playing majors and barely making the cut.
Yeah, he's barely making the cut every now and then. He's not obviously he's a huge name, but for Tiger, it would make so much more sense to just use your last couple of years of playing golf, because when he's out there, he's kind of hobbling around. You can definitely tell it's obviously not the same Tiger as it was years ago. But at the same time, you've only got a couple of years left. Why don't you just cash in?
Because you know what?
Ethics, I know.
What? Tiger Woods is a principled guy.
Yeah, but apparently so. I guess so.
Stands by his convictions, and he will not compromise them, no matter how much money is involved.
Also, which is crazy.
Already a billionaire.
Yeah,
so,
but at the same time,
this would almost double
million?
it's double his winnings, double his value. But he said no. Now, of course, some people are saying, well, it makes sense. He's already got so much money, and unlike some other big-name golfers that have switched tours for the money, Phil Mickelson being the best example, the closest comparison to Tiger Woods, he's a guy who's known for having a gambling problem, and so he has switched over allegedly because he needs all this money to pay off gambling debts.
Really?
And things of that nature.
Old Phil.
Yeah, the gambler.
The gambler he is. But at the same time, I don't blame Phil. Yet again, the last couple of years of his career, get over there, grab your money.
Make sure you can leave your offspring something better than gambling debt.
Exactly.
To show for all of the golf you've played. But for Tiger Woods, this is, and Phil Mickelson is now widely regarded, people not looking kindly upon him, where Tiger Woods is another chance to reclaim his reputation.
His image, yeah.
Yeah. So he's turned down over $700 million. How much would it cost for you, Isaiah, to totally sacrifice all of your core principles and convictions and just sell out 100%?
You're saying
how many thousands, how many hundreds of dollars would I have to give you for you to just throw away all of your morals?
I would say not that much money.
Not that much money. I know. You're no Tiger Woods.
I'm not Tiger. I can't live up to that one, I guess.
A better man than you.
Oh,
this is The Riot. Radio U.
Got a big job opportunity out here for you. One where you can finally make some money for doing something you might already be doing. Eating candy.
I am a fan of candy. I don't need very much of it, but I do like candy overall.
That would have to change if you were selected to be the new chief candy officer for Candy Funhouse in Canada. How does $100,000 sound?
To eat candy?
to eat candy.
Am I like taste testing?
Yeah, that's what you're doing.
Okay, that sounds pretty nice.
You would be in charge of taste testing their extensive selection of roughly 3,500 products every month.
Sounds like they should just send that to the riot because we're already kind of doing that.
We kind of are. I think that could it could tie right into what we already do. We could fit it into our schedule. You would also have to run company board meetings and approve new candy inventory.
It says about 113 pieces per day.
That's a lot of pieces. It's a tall order.
See, I feel like you're gonna try a lot of crappy candy over the course of however long you do this job for.
Yeah, you think?
Yeah, there's obviously some candies that like are not good. Like not every candy is good.
And
so
Dots.
I like Dots.
Dots are horrible.
What?
Dots,
I think they're solid.
Dots are possibly the worst of all.
You think that's the worst candy?
Name one that's worse
than Dots?
Yeah.
How about the root beer barrels?
Oh, no, but they taste like root beer.
How about the little like the elephant nuts or whatever?
Oh, yep, you're right. Those are worse. The
How about banana
peanuts.
Laffy Taffy? That's worse. That's another one.
I'd probably take that over Dots.
You think so? Dots aren't bad.
But you've already listed a few that are pretty horrible.
So yeah, but you think about the other way, there's some really good ones too. Candy-wise, we're not talking chocolate here. This is exclusively candy.
I think chocolate counts as candy.
Counts? Is it
I think
candy?
it counts. If you go to a candy store, would you see chocolate in there? I'm pretty sure.
But if you went to a chocolate store, would you see candy in there?
Not necessarily.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think that proves any point at all.
It proves
I don't think it does.
the point.
I don't think it does.
Either way, I'm assuming just candy alone. What's the best candy? Do you have a go-to candy, like best flavor-wise? If you see it, you're more likely to grab it.
I've got a couple for you.
Let's hear them.
And I don't really get tempted by candy.
I don't either.
I really don't eat it often at all. I like Nerds, but you gotta eat those in moderation.
Nerds?
Yeah, you don't.
That's the first thing you thought of?
I like Nerds.
I think Nerds are okay. I think Nerd Rope is better, but Nerds are okay, yeah.
I like Warheads. Anything sour. The sourer, the better.
Okay.
If it has a warning label on it that it's so sour, that sounds like something I want to try.
See, it's not as enjoyable for me. Like if I want a candy, I think I'm more sweet than sour.
I'm definitely, I don't need as much sugar.
Like a Warhead?
Sour. Yeah, I love
as a top candy?
I like Warheads, except they're not sour enough.
So far you have Warheads and Nerds.
Nerds
are your
and,
top candies.
My other top candy, this is a little more obscure, Zots.
Now, this is just a terrible list.
Fan of Zots.
This is an awful list of top candies.
What's wrong with my list?
Your top three lists of candies, Zots, Warheads, and Nerds.
Yes.
That is so obscure.
Indisputable.
See, I would lean more like Twizzlers is up there for me.
Twizzlers are good.
I would lean.
Complain about that.
How about peach rings? They'd be up there for me as well.
I don't even know what that is.
You don't know what a peach ring is?
No, I do not. Is it like a gummy thing?
Yeah, it's a gummy.
Oh, I don't do.
It's a gummy peach ring.
I don't do gummy.
You don't do gummies?
No, I'm not.
What does that even mean?
I don't do gummy.
You don't do
like
gummies?
The texture.
Then I put it at the number 3 spot. There's a couple that come to mind here.
For number 2?
No, for number 3.
For the third spot. Okay.
So I have Twizzlers, peach rings.
Yeah.
And then sitting at number 3, I could go Bullseye. It's like the caramels. You know what I'm talking about? With like the white center.
Isn't that a cow tail?
That's similar to a cow tail, but it's in a circle. It's similar. Or I could lean, if I'm not into that Swedish Fish right there for me as well.
Swedish Fish.
I do like Swedish Fish. Or like maybe like Sour Patch watermelons in specific.
Patch. See, Sour Patch Kids, it's another one, but they're not sour enough for me.
They're not sour enough.
And they're too sweet.
See, I don't like the regular ones, but if I do the watermelons, that's different. It has to be the watermelon ones. And that rounds out about my top 5 of candies.
You think my list is obscure.
Your list was awful.
You think my list
you're
talking about peach
in the
rings
top 3.
And a specific flavor of Sour Patch Kids.
I guarantee the majority of listeners, if they were to pick a list that they would reside by, it would definitely be mine. Because yours sounds a little bit painful.
I don't think they know what those are.
No one's going to say
they're bad.
Yeah, they're all. I listed only very well-known things. You listed Zots and Warheads. You didn't know what a peach ring was. I don't know how. And also, you didn't know what a Bullseye was, which is also very well-known.
I picked it up off of the... You know what? What I'm finding is, at the end of the day, neither of us are cut out to be the chief candy officer.
I don't think so.
For Canada, for Candy Funhouse and Mississauga, Ontario.
I mean, we found out yet again, I'm the sweet one. You're a little bit more sour.
I'm the sour one.
You're a little more sour.
Abrasive. It is the Riot.
Thanks for watching the worst of the Riot. Since you made it this far, you might as well like, subscribe, and check out riot.radiou.com for even more Riot.